He's just 15 years old. 15. Max Dowman, take a bow, son. That was an unbelievable performance. For a full debut, if you want to call it that, in pre-season. The first time that we've all had eyes on him on the TV. The first time that we've seen any action from him in pre-season. Scary. Unbelievable confidence. Fearlessness. Intent to drive forward. Comfortable on the ball. First touch exquisite. Really good cutting in on his left. And he was that good that the commentators were confusing him with Martin Odegaard. That's how good that he was. Watching him on the ball and hearing him saying, oh, Martin Odegaard, oh no, it's Max Dowman. Very similar in terms of his attributes. For me, had a better game than Martin Odegaard. Steps up for his penalty, puts it in, walks off, shrugs his shoulders, nothing phases him. Fearless, confident, superb. Every time he was on the ball, we were excited. And this is what I've said about Ethan. He lifts me off my seat. He gets me excited because he's got the intent to drive forward. We saw in the first half what Ethan did. We'll come back to him in a minute. I was really impressed. But this Max Dowman kid is going to be unbelievable. How he can be that good at 15 is beyond me. I said I'd never seen a 13-year-old like it. I've definitely never seen a 14-year-old this good. I have not seen a 15-year-old as good as this. People said to me, is he ready? Is it a risk? Should we really be counting him as a squad player? Well, if you haven't watched the game, go watch it. Second half, Max Dowman comes on, and there is no doubting in anybody's mind that he's ready to go and fight for this first team. He was phenomenal. So good to watch. Gets you off the edge of your seat, driving towards goal, got an eye for a pass, doesn't give the ball away, doesn't do anything silly. An unbelievable piece of skill in moment in the game on the right-hand side, and he's just kept it safe and gone back to Josh Nichols. He looks so good, guys. So good. Now, that doesn't mean Arsenal are going to go win the league with him. Let's not get carried away and make out like Max Dowman is going to take Arsenal to the next level. Do you know what Max Dowman's going to do? Have a bright future. And I hope it's at Arsenal. Because he's ready. He looks so ready. It doesn't even look like a debate as to whether he's going to be part of the squad or good enough to be part of that squad. For me, I now am excited because of him. I was already excited. I was already excited to see him and believe that in pre-season there'll be question marks about, okay, everyone's talking about him. How good is he? He's been good for England. He's been good for club and country. Everyone's talking about him as the next best thing. People are saying that he's going to be the next Lamine Yamal. People are saying that he could go on to be the best player that people have seen. I'm not going to start mentioning names. All I'm going to say is take a bow, son, because that was an unbelievable first game in an Arsenal shirt. So Max Dowman is the one we're going to be talking about the most today. And you know what? I think it will probably take away from some individual performances that I actually thought were fairly comfortable in an Arsenal shirt. Some were better than others. As always, in pre-season, you get some that have quieter games, some that aren't really showing glimpses of what is to come. But I was really impressed with a few of them, I've got to be honest. Now, the scoreline doesn't suggest that Arsenal battered AC Milan. The possession doesn't really suggest that we battered them. But they didn't have much. Rafael Leao had a couple of opportunities. They had one or two chances. I missed the first 5-10 minutes of the game due to problems trying to get it on the TV. But what I will say is that there's definitely, without a doubt, something special with the youngsters coming through at Arsenal. That's enough on Max Dowman. Let's move to Ethan Nwaneri, because he, again, just like Max, is fearless. And what I love about these youngsters is they aren't afraid to drive forward with the ball and have a shot. They ain't afraid to make a decision that's positive. They ain't afraid to go that little bit extra and try and take that risk. And we've seen that with the ultimate professionals in the game over the years. But one thing I will say about this Mikel Arteta side is there's a lot of them that are quite unwilling to take a dig, unwilling to make that one extra pass, unwilling to take a little bit of a risk to flick it over the top. Martin Odegaard's the only one that really does that. And half the time, the decision-making of late hasn't been great. But Ethan, an opportunity in the first half where he flicks it up with his left and drives it, drills it. Unbelievable shot, and has to pull off a brilliant save, the AC Milan goalkeeper, to tip it round the post for a corner. It's an individual bit of brilliance from Ethan Nwaneri. And I've got to be honest, whenever I saw him on the ball, he looked like he was showing his flair, expressing his ability on the ball. an unbelievable bit down the right-hand side where he's literally turned on the ball, just flicked it round and drove forward and just gone forward with the ball as if the defender weren't there. It's a brilliant bit of individual quality from me from Nwaneri, I've got to be honest with you. And why do I find myself talking about the two youngest players in the team? But I do. Because at 15 and 17, they've got an unbelievable future ahead of them. And we have to do all we can to look after them and keep them happy at this club. Because I have not seen Saka this good at that age. I have not seen the Martinellis and Smith Rowes and Jack Wilsheres and all the others that have come through Hattle End and the Youth Academy across the years as good as I have Max Dowman and Ethan Nwaneri. And I've got to say, Miles Lewis-Skelly, people forget about him now. They see him as the 18-year-old who's now the old one. He's the role model. He's the one that has made it already. But these two are going to make it as well, man. So look, for me today, you have to look at a first half performance from Ethan Nwaneri and say he was the best player on the pitch. And you have to then look at the second half performance and say that it was Max Dowman, who literally deserved all the plaudits and got all the plaudits. And for me, showing a glimpse of what the future might look like at Arsenal for sure with these two. The goal itself was actually a really good ball from Kivior. And it's a player that's showing a lot of confidence now. Since the back end of last season, where he came in for Gabriel, started to show a run of games, I think that's really helped him. Because in today's game, he missed a penalty, which was frustrating for anybody, but anyone can miss a penalty, right? I thought he looked really good. I thought he looked really comfortable on the ball, and defensively again today, Arsenal were great. I don't think there's any denying the fact that Arsenal were great today defensively. What I will say is, though, the ball for Bukayo Saka from Jakub Kiwior is absolutely pinpoint perfect. Saka gets what he can off of it. I think it ends up being a kind of half volley in the end, and it goes and nestles itself into the back of the net, and Arsenal find himself 1-0 up. But then after that, I've got to be honest, Arsenal really should have done a lot better with some of their chances. We did create a few. We didn't create any clear cut. A lot of shots, a lot of opportunities, a lot of good passing. And most of the passes that were forward were just a little bit off. Didn't really land to who was needed. But there's been a lot of performances today that I want to big up. Now, we look at the goalkeeper. David Raya started. Nothing wrong there. Kepa came on and actually did all right, to be fair to him. Saved, I think, 2 or 3 penalties in the penalty shootout, which people were confused about. They did a penalty shootout not because it was a draw, but in fact because they were going to do a penalty shootout as a friendly opportunity, whatever the result. Kepa came out well. You know, he was probably Arsenal's best in the penalty shootout, so fair play to him. Josh Nichols came on at right back. Ben White had a solid first half, good overlapping with Bukayo Saka. Josh Nichols come on and I think did really well. I've got to be honest with you, really well. Scored his penalty as well, so a good and big up to him as well because I haven't seen much of Josh. We saw Marley Salmon come on. Yeah, his penalty went over, but he came on and looked fairly solid when he did. Saliba looked absolute animal. I've got to be honest, like he looked mustard. There was an individual bit of quality from Rafael Leao. He kept up with his pace and he ended up nicking the ball off of him. You know, I think we forget sometimes how good Saliba is and how consistent he is, to be fair. Calafiori had a fairly good half. I think he made a couple of good tackles and good headers. Gave away the ball a couple of times and a couple of fouls from Calafiori. But Kiwior came on and played well. Zinchenko started the game. I don't think he did anything to put himself in the shop window, if I'm honest with you. Obviously, Lewis-Skelly come on and was Lewis-Skelly. Just a typical performance from him in terms of his strength and ability on the ball. Norgard started the game. And do you know what? I actually thought he played well. There was a couple of bits of individual quality that showed he's actually got some technical ability. So like I say, we have to not judge this player and reserve judgment until he starts playing and wearing the Arsenal shirt, because I thought it was a very good performance from his debut, if I'm honest with you. Zubimendi came on. I don't think he did anything to give us any form of excitement, but he certainly didn't give the ball away in any areas. I think he had a couple of good bits of opportunities. A really good penalty, by the way, that reminded me of Jorginho, the way he just slotted it home. Marino come on for Rice, and you know, it was a typical performance from both of those. I don't think there was anything of spectacular quality from those, if I'm honest with you. Ethan started, Ødegaard come on. Ødegaard, he was okay. Missed his penalty again. I don't know why this guy can't take a penalty at the moment, but I think he's missed the last 3 that he's taken for Arsenal. And then we come to the front line. And again, Arsenal have got such a need for a number 9. It's so obvious. Kai Havertz did all right today. Nothing spectacular. He put himself about. He tried to create. He tried to make a nuisance of himself. But one thing I'll say about Kai Havertz is he's just not a natural number 9. And it's so obvious because Saka and Martinelli both had opportunities today where they're driving down the wing and Kai Havertz wants to overlap them instead of making an option in the box. And that to me says everything you need to know about whether Kai Havertz is a prolific number 9 and a killer in the box, or if he's someone who wants to link up play. Kai Havertz is the guy that links up play. He's not the guy that kills it off in the box. And that's just obvious for me. Trossard come on and actually did pretty well. And I've got to big up Reece Nelson as well, because actually he came on. Great first touch, drives at teams, cuts inside, has a couple of digs. And actually, to be fair, I think he's going to be a really good signing for someone. I know Fulham had him last season on loan and they really actually preferred him to Emil Smith-Rowe. It's just that he got injured for a long time was the reason that he weren't playing. But Reece Nelson, I think, could be a really good signing for a Premier League side. Maybe an Everton, maybe he goes to Leeds or a Brentford. Maybe Crystal Palace, we can try and do something with Eze, because that deal has gone a little bit quiet. And hopefully, once Gyökeres and Mosquera are signed for Arsenal, we go back in for Eze. But today was a performance that I was fairly okay with. There was nothing exceptional that got me excited, but there were certainly no players that I thought were invisible or didn't do well enough. Players came off, like Martinelli came off. Some of the others that were subbed were, I thought, fair play, normal game, typical sort of performance. So I've got to be honest when I say it. I thought that Arsenal today deserved to win by more goals. I thought Arsenal deserved to win the game. We didn't win the penalty shootout, but who cares? It's a friendly. And there were some good debuts today. You know, Kepa did fair. Norgard did fair. Zubimendi was okay. But of course, we finished by talking about Ethan Nwaneri and Max Dowman, who I think are going to be stars at Arsenal. Now, they both play in a similar position, and I'm really interested to see where the kind of development and progress and kind of career path is for both Ethan Nwaneri and Max Dowman. They both play in a similar position. They can both play on the right. They can both play off of the right or left, but they can certainly be known to be more of a kind of attacking 10. I haven't seen Max Dowman or Ethan Nwaneri on the left as much, like people say they can play there, but for me, I don't think we need to worry. They're both going to be able to break the door down because they've got quality. And if I'm Martin Odegaard and I'm Bukayo Saka, I'm looking behind me today thinking, my God, I know people were looking at Madueke and Eze coming in, but in a few years, these two could be taking the places of some of us because individually, they've got the ability. Technically, they're gifted. They've got a wand of a left foot, the pair of them. They've got passing ability. They drive forward. They show intent. They've got confidence and fearlessness on the ball. Impressive. Impressive indeed. Do me a favour, people. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe. Let's get us up to 50k. Make sure you're following Match Bingo. Link is in the description. And I will see you on the next one. Come on, you Gunners.